Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Israel Connection. I hope you all had a wonderful Passover and a spring break. I'm Esty Zanati, and my guest today is Neil Friedman. He is the founder of Menemsha Films, which has become the largest library of Jewish content anywhere outside of Israel. In 2020, he decided to start ChaiFlicks, creating a platform where Israeli and Jewish culture was preserved and our people's stories had a place to live. The library now holds over 3,000 hours of Israeli and Jewish content from award-winning TV series, films, and documentaries across all genres. Neil, thank you so much for joining me today.
Happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and what got you to start Menemsha Films?
It's a long story. I'll try not to make it too long. I was a lawyer at first, a Park Avenue corporate lawyer, but then I became an entertainment lawyer in New York. And then I started to work for, I got hired by various companies to work for them in the entertainment business. Finally, I was hired by Columbia Pictures to go to California to run a studio company. And then after that, I ran a company called Ed Pressman Films for 6.5 years. And then I was a co-head of the William Morris Agency in the independent film division, make a long story short. And then I needed to decide whether I was going to go back and work and run other people's companies or start my own. And that was a tough decision, Esty. And I decided that I had to do that. I had to start my own company, and that was Menemsha, which started in 1998. And we got very lucky right off the bat. Each of the 5 years, we were doing international sales for the first 5 years. And each of those 5 years, we had a film that was nominated for Academy Award in either the foreign language or documentary section. And then, like all things, my daughter was born in 96, and I was traveling all over the world looking for the next film to represent, and I decided that I should stay home more, and we switched in 2003 to being a U.S. Canadian theatrical distributor. Okay. And about 12 years later, we became 10 or 12 years later, we became exclusively Jewish in terms of the kinds of films we would release.
So, what was the reason behind becoming exclusively Jewish?
It's very simple. I knew one thing about myself, that I was really good at this, and that I understood. I thought I understood the marketplace. I understood what I thought I could be a leader in that field. Obviously, there were many distributors handling different genre of films. But given my background and certain confidence I had in myself, I thought that I could really do something to change, to be successful, and also to bring something culturally important to the Jewish world.
What do you think bringing Israeli and Jewish stories to the forefront, especially these days, is so important?
There's a million reasons. One of the reasons is we need community more now than ever. And I think one way to have community is through storytelling. Yeah. We allow our subscribers on ChaiFlicks to view a vast array of stories in different formats, whether it be TV series, and by the way, they're TV series not only from Israel but from all over the world. Feature films, documentaries, shorts, and it's like a synagogue of sorts, a grand synagogue where we're all gathered together online, learning about who we are and taking pride in who we are. And I find that people that really are on ChaiFlicks can't get enough. It's a certain kind of subscriber that really relishes seeing and viewing more and more of our stories from the different formats that we have.
How do you decide which content goes on the platform?
Well, it's a great question. There's a lot of things that I'm not very good at. but there's one thing I think I'm pretty good at, and that is that what I think I like, I
Hmm.
think is somewhat a barometer of what other people would like.
Okay.
Um, and that's where the confidence comes. Um, and it started with Menemsha. We started 2003, but even when we weren't exclusively Jewish, we had a lot of Jewish films. And even when we were
Hmm.
selling films, had Jewish films. But I watching in running the Menemsha distribution company, um, I thought I had an expertise that was a little unique in that area. And ChaiFlicks developed because we had three films in a row from an Emsha that did over $1 million, and the first two
Oh, which
sold for.
films?
Well, the first one was a movie called Doe from the UK,
Hmm.
starring Jonathan Pryce. The next film was um, A Woman's Balcony from Israel, which
Oh,
is
that's a great. Actually,
yeah.
my dad's cousin was in that movie. He's an
Uh,
actor. Yeah.
which role?
I forgot the name of the character, but his name is Chaim Znati. He's an actor. He's been in a lot of these this kind of movies.
Yeah, that did $1.2 million at the box office in the US, which
It's a great
for
film.
an Israeli film, that's really something.
Mm.
And then we had a film, which is one of the best films we've ever had, called 1945, a Hungarian black and white period
Mhm.
piece. And to get over $1 million for a Hungarian black and white period piece is sort of maybe the greatest distribution success I've ever had.
Yeah.
But that was the third in the group of three, and by that time, the threshold for selling to Netflix was $1 million box office, and the first two obviously sold, but they had grown to the point where they did so much in-house programming that they said we're not going to acquire 1945. And given the fact that I really love this film and I knew how special it was, I said we can't be beholden to a third party to saying yes or no. We needed to start our own Jewish streaming service. And that's what happened in 2019. We already had started business plans and we're ready to start ChaiFlicks. We had 150 Jewish themed films in our library. The first week of the pandemic, March 20th, maybe, or around that date,
Hmm.
as soon as the pandemic hit, we went right up and started ChaiFlicks, knowing that people were stuck at home.
That's great
So
timing.
yeah, it was very fortunate for us that we were ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah. So, given that our podcast focuses on Israel, I want to ask some questions regarding the Israeli content that you have. So,
Sure.
just generally, like, what is the percentage of Israeli content versus rest of it, like versus
I think it's
international?
probably 40%, maybe even,
Oh,
maybe
wow.
even greater. On the series side,
Hmm.
the way it works in streaming is, probably TV series are, the drivers of subscribers and the format that most subscribers view more than
Hmm.
others. That addiction scenario that an individual can have by watching episode after episode.
Yeah.
Um, maybe on the TV series side, a majority of our series, maybe 75% are Israeli.
Wow.
Uh, and But it's not only Israeli. We have
Hmm.
We have an Argentine series. We have a UK series. We have a Swiss series, an Austrian series, German series, all over the world. We're a diaspora network,
Yeah.
but I want to say something here. The quality and the talent that comes out of Israel on the TV first and then film side is extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's the highest level of talent, pound for pound, of any country in the world.
Yeah. And I feel
It's
like
a
it
real
keeps getting better and better.
keeps getting better. And as I'm sitting here with you, we're negotiating for another series. Um,
Which one, if
you
you can say?
Oh, I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
I can't say. But it's a really it's sort of magical. The ability of Israelis in the TV world. And by the way, but it's not only the storytelling that is so superior, but the remake and the format rights that
Yeah.
Israeli initiated. In other words, the storylines are so strong that not only do they sell the already produced series, but they sell the formats to different countries where that country would produce their own series, let's say in Spanish or French, with the storyline of the series that originated in Israel. So they really grew that sector of the international TV business like nobody else, which is reflective of the quality of the storytelling.
Yeah.
You
know, storytelling, and also the cast, the actors, all across the board, really strong actors. We've seen, like, I think recently, the one that I remember, the show that I remember that was sold to a lot of different countries was Beauty and the Baker.
Right.
It's been remade even in India and, in France. So it's been really interesting to see how that, goes.
Yeah, there's two great actors in that series. So that's when you say there's great actors, you have a leading man and a leading woman that we have in many of our series.
Yeah. So aside from this one, there's been a global success to shows like Shtisel and Fauda, obviously, and it kind of depicts a specific, like, Israeli brand of TV that normally succeeds in international platforms.
Right.
So when you're looking for new series like Unsilenced or The Malevolent Bride, are you looking for shows that lean into that, or looking into the specific brand, or are you trying to subvert from what global audiences expect from Israel?
I'm not doing anything other than going based on quality. Maybe I lean a little bit to comedy right now because the world is a little not in the best of shape. But I can tell you something that's really extraordinary. We got very lucky, Esty. The first program, other than a Menemsha film that we already had in the library that we acquired, was Shabbat Nakim. And I'm talking about 2001 that we acquired this series, and it's by far the first acquisition is by far the leading, most viewed series on ChaiFlicks, by a long shot.
Wow.
And then second and third season got produced, and we picked up the second and third season. So it's part of it. We were very lucky. That brought a lot of subscribership to the network right away. And we've been building on that. And I think the idea is just diversity. I think we're looking for different stories. And the one thing you'll see, in the different series, you'll see the same actor and maybe in another series, but playing a different role. But it's I'm going to say something. I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit, but for sure, given the size of Israel, on a relative basis, Israeli TV is the best in the world. And I think people in the United States in the television business could learn a little bit from Israeli TV production as well. And a lot of those people have gravitated to the U.S. To work in both here and in Israel, and some of them in Europe as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I mean, it is very high quality, and you see, like, nowadays, obviously, with anti-Semitism and everything, people are trying to prevent Israeli creators from working in the industry or don't want to consume Israeli media, which, I mean, it's their loss, obviously. But it's sad to see because there's a lot to learn from. There's a lot of fantastic, shows, films, everything coming out of Israel.
Well, one of the things about having a subscription service is nobody can keep you. Nobody has to. No theater owner has to say yes to a film first playing before somebody can go see it. If we say yes, then it's available, and there's no security issue or there's no issue about viewing to your heart's content because it's in the home. And that's probably not an accident that we've been growing very strongly, during this period of anti-Semitism, because more of the viewing takes place online, and I think in reaction to anti-Semitism, almost everybody has an increase in Jewish pride and community, and the easiest place to feel that is on a streaming service like ChaiFlicks.
Yeah. So we talked about all those big dramas and shows, that succeed around the world. I saw that you guys have Kuparashit or Checkout on your
Correct.
platform, which is, I think, one of the best Israeli comedy shows in recent years. But it is very Israeli. It's a very like local Israeli humor. How do you think this kind of show that come across to international audience?
That's a good question. When we first acquired it, I think it was Yes Studios were
Yeah.
the people that presented it first. This is our first after Shabbat Nakim. We made a deal with Yes for 3 series, and the one that I really wanted, the one I wanted the most was Checkout. Everybody says that to us, that it's very Israeli.
It is.
It's very Israeli, but it's also funny.
Yes.
And how far is Jewish humor from Israeli humor? I don't think it's that far. It's 10%, 20%.
Also, I guess it depends on different things.
Yeah. So I was always confident from the get-go, that it would work on our service, and it's been a big hit.
Yeah,
it's been a big hit. So it's just something that I felt in my stomach that we should do, and again, that was the right decision. It's been 5 seasons made of that series. And
I think they keep on going. It's a really, really funny show. If you guys haven't watched it, please check it out. It's so funny. Great cast, also fantastic cast.
Yeah, anything with the lead actress,
Karen Moore. Yeah, she's the best.
I would buy anything with her in it.
Yeah,
I would show anything with her. She's just just perfect.
Yeah, back in the day, she was on a show called Chamishiya Kamerit, which was also one of the funniest things back in the 90s. I don't know if you have that on the platform, but it is so good.
What's the translation in English, if you know?
It's like the Kamerit 5 or something like that, like a Chamishiya Kamerit. It's 5. It's like 4 men and her. One of them is her husband also, and they just go about their lives, or like different. It's like different skits and stuff like that, but it's so good. I will see if I can find like an actual translation.
We have that's the other requirement that we have. Any show with her in it, we want to have.
Yeah, it's like, pretty old. It's from, I think 90s, like mid 90s.
Yep.
So yeah, so we've seen documentary series like Picture This with Ben Shani on the platform. How has the mission of ChaiFlicks evolved in terms of providing nuanced look at Israeli life during the times of like national trauma?
Yeah, we're not political at all, and the idea is that we want to have different storytelling and be and be connected to what's going on in Israel. Picture this. I'm American, so the question, your viewership probably, or your listening group, folks would have is, how the heck did this guy access Picture This, and how did he know about it? We have an Israeli on our team, on our acquisition team, so we're very connected. But what's going on in Israel is critical to the Jewish world. This is as simple as that. And the quality of Ben Shani and his show is it meets the standard for ChaiFlicks programming. We're curators.
Yeah.
And when I watched Picture This, it's an A-level presentation, and it's an automatic yes. Because it's educational. This one's not so entertainment, but it's so well done, and so the format of it was so smart and simple. It was just basically an interview with somebody with that experience, and he is such a good interviewer that we had to have the show. And and it's so it comes back to quality. It really does.
Yeah, that's what it is at the end of the day. You want people to view quality, items.
And that's the way I've evolved in my entertainment life, especially in the Jewish sector. Menemsha is known for quality. We curate everything. We're a curator. We're not just an acquirer. And we've grown to have Menemsha have a brand. We're actually, surprisingly enough, we've actually had applause from audiences when the Menemsha logo goes up in a theater, and that's what we're working to with ChaiFlicks. To have that same brand awareness and appreciation. with our ChaiFlicks followers.
Yeah. So what is it? What is like a hidden gem that currently is on your platform that you haven't seen people talk about enough, or you feel like people don't know enough of?
So many. One
Give
that
us
comes
like
to
your
mind.
top five, I guess.
The lesson is one.
Mhm.
Uh, um, there. Let's leave it with the lesson for now. I mean,
Okay.
that is a series, very simply done,
Mhm.
but very powerful, based on real events, and the acting is superb, and the issue is very simple, but there's great drama revolved around that. The discovery of that actress, who plays the student in that series, was a real discovery for us, and we want to do more show more of the shows that she's in. So that's another thing. We recognize talent, and we try to keep abreast of that, and that leads us to other shows as well.
Yeah. So if someone has never watched Israeli series before or anything, which getaway show on ChaiFlicks would you recommend to them for the first time? As a first time Israeli viewer.
The first time Israeli viewer,
First time viewer of Israeli show. So yeah.
Shabbat Nakim. It's an easy answer. Everybody likes it.
Yeah.
And it's got everything. Comedy really works these days, because people want relief, and release
Yes.
from the real world. And it's substantive too. And 3 seasons of it, and I know it's such a big hit in Israel. Even the Orthodox are on the QT or watching the show when they're not supposed to be watching any television. So we have this we have a lot. I've been from Menemsha, we've distributed a lot of Israeli films. And I got to tell you, Woman's Balcony is probably one of the most successful Israeli films
Yeah.
ever in theaters in the United States. So we really keep abreast of Israeli product, and we know all the producers, all the sellers, all the actors, and we want to show more and more. And it's just a question of what meets our quality standard, and that's the key for us. We're diverse in our storytelling, but we want people to know when they come on our service, as opposed to any other service, that it's all quality.
Yeah.
Not everybody does that, by the way.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, it's also great to have a platform that only has this kind of content that we know is coming from our people that we can support and watch, because it's not everywhere. I mean, majority of Israeli content specifically is nowhere to be found outside of Israel. So
Right.
It's nice to have that, to have a place for it, if you want to enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're not only available in North America, we're available in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and so all the English language world is ChaiFlicks, and we're the leading Jewish streaming service worldwide for Jewish content.
Is there any plan to go outside of English speaking countries?
Yes, there is. We got a couple of other things that we want to do first, but we obviously want to be worldwide. It's important. But the English speaking world, once you go into other territories, then you obviously going to have to, the subtitles have to be in the language of that country, as French or Spanish. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be great because we do have some audiences outside of English speaking countries, which is great.
14 million Jews in the world, and we want to reach every one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. So last question before we wrap up. Based on what you've witnessed with Israeli content coming to your platform, what do you think the future of Israeli TV and film looks like?
Well, it's an easy answer. It's going to get better and better, as long as these the history of Israel is interesting because, first you had a state, and then, you had security issues with, as you grew older,
Yeah.
and people started to, grow in income ability, and then there's some film schools that started in the 60s, and then out of those film schools became, creative folks. But I think it's the greatest export and the best way for the world to appreciate Israel is through the quality of the programming they do, and the quality of the creators will only increase as time goes on. It's it's you almost it's all, obviously it's the right environment for creativity, but there's something in our genes that allowed us to start Hollywood and to be writers and producers and directors, and I don't think it's any different. It's just 70 years delayed in Israel.
Yeah.
I think it's unique to who we are.
I think so. There's a lot of other things that we're unique people.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're people of the book. So
Yes.
we're thinkers and
Storytellers.
storytellers. Yeah, that's the greatest. That's the biggest. That's the number one tradition we have.
Yeah.
So all started with the Bible. So, and people education being such an important factor in any era of a Jewish person's life, and conversation and Talmudic discussion back and forth, that leads to creativity.
Yes, and we also have a lot of stories to tell, starting back thousands of years ago. We have, our people have been through a lot of stuff, and we have so much to tell.
Yeah, and it's that's what makes it fun for me, because there's so many more stories for us to tell. We found an Argentinian TV series that we have on our channel, and I really, it's who would have thought of it, that there's a Jewish Argentinian TV series of quality. So it's twofold. It's the world as the entire world in terms of storytelling, and it is our history of 3,000 years. So it's unlimited.
That's true. So where can people find ChaiFlicks? Is there an app on TV that we can get on smart TV, or is it just
I think there's an app. We're on we have apps for every kind of television, so there's no issue there. We're available on any television using an app. It's very easy, and we have a lot of things in the next 6 months that we'll be doing that people will hear about, that will make them more and more aware of us. And we're as I said, I think it's important to say this. We want to take ChaiFlicks, the way Menemsha grew over 20 years. So we're just in the early stages now. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys want to check it out, they're offering us, our listeners, a discount code. It's Israel Connection 36, all caps. And I'm going to share the link on our social media platforms if you want to go and try it out. And I would recommend going through it. There's a lot of great content in there.
Thank you, Esty. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil, so much for being here today. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Same here. Same here.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening. Until next time.